Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about what I would do if I was looking to start a private practice in 2024. So a little bit about me, I have owned my own private practice since 2020. I had to think about that for a second. And it is the best thing I have ever done. I absolutely love owning my own practice. I love being able to control it all, do the marketing, run the website, get the reviews. I thrive on the business side of my practice as well as the clinical side. So I feel uniquely qualified to make this video. And just so you know, like creating a business has a ton of steps to it. So this is going to be more so like the big ideas of things I want you to start thinking about if you are looking to make a practice in 2024. There are some more specific things that you will need to know along the way, and I'm going to link some resources in the description box of this video to some resources that will help you to get into more of the nitty-gritty. My husband is putting up a baby gate downstairs and I feel like it's really loud, so hopefully you can't hear that. But before we get into it, hi, my name is Alyssa Powers. I created this YouTube channel to teach you the things that grad school didn't so you can thrive as a mental health practitioner. Now, I think that if I were starting my private practice in 2024, the first thing I would be thinking about is what is my niche going to be? So using myself as an example, my overall niche is college students and young adults. I wanted to work with this population for a couple different reasons. First being they are available during the times that I want to work. So college students usually have quite flexible schedules. They're free during the day. They have random gaps of time that they're off. I just knew personally, like I couldn't be a couples therapist and only be able to see clients in the evenings because that's just not a sustainable lifestyle for me. I'm really not an evening person at all. And I also have a young son, and I just knew I wanted to have a family at the point when I was deciding all of this. And another reason that I chose that specific niche is just that I think when I'm looking for a therapist, I kind of look to someone who's relatable, but who is also kind of doing the next step in life. So for me, I'm in my early 30s and young adults and college students are probably in their early 20s. So it's kind of cool that I have experienced what they're going through, but it's not so far in the past that it's like completely unrelatable to my own experience. So your niche could look like anything. I will say I would tell you to be more specific than anxiety or depression, just because that's so general and pretty much every client coming to you probably has anxiety or depression to some degree. So I would get specific. On my website, I say I'm a therapist for young adults and college students. And then I do have some subcategories in there like religious trauma, adult ADHD, gender dysphoria. So I have other little specialties. And that's the wonderful thing about your own practice is you get to decide like how you want to market it, what your little sub niches are going to be, if you have any. Like I know someone who does eating disorder therapy, and that's like that's all she does. All of her clients are within the eating disorder realm, so she doesn't really have sub niches. It's just that, but she, you know, is very clear to her in her marketing that that's what she does. So I think that's lovely. So first thing is figuring out your niche. The next thing I would think about is what do you want to name your practice? I have a whole video about this that I can link up in the cards, but I would say if you are 100% certain that you do not want to ever expand to a group practice, then you are pretty safe in calling it, like I could have Alyssa Powers Counseling, for instance, and that would be fine. And that's simple, and I get it, like it's an easy thing to just use your name. If your name's easy to spell and easy to remember, then I think that's great. My maiden name was extremely hard to spell, and I was not married when I started my practice, so I knew I wasn't going to use my name, and I came up with a name that I really, really love, and I think is fun. And maybe someday I will have clinicians under me. Maybe I will have a group practice. I don't know. I think that's another great thing about private practice is you can expand. So there are all kinds of great names out there. I would definitely recommend Googling and making sure these names aren't already taken in your state. My business name is called Crooked River Counseling Services, and I know there are other Crooked River counselings, but they're not in Ohio. So I was still able to register the LLC, and that was fine. So make sure, you're not coming up with a name that is super similar or going to get confused with another place. But I've never had anyone call me thinking it was, the Crooked River that's in Pennsylvania or whatever. So that's the next thing I would think about. And then third thing, how are you going to get clients? For me, I worked at a group practice before I started my own private practice, and I never signed a non-compete clause, so I was able to bring my caseload over with me, but that's probably a pretty unique situation. So I don't know if you're starting from scratch, building a caseload. Are you going to rely on directory websites like Psychology Today that do have a fee? Or are you going to panel with insurances? Are you going to build a website and do SEO work? All of those things could be videos within themselves, but I think that's important to think about. It seems like most people do rely on Psychology Today when they're first starting out. I know I had a Psychology Today profile when I was first building up my practice, and it was helpful. I don't have one anymore, and I haven't had one for years because I've done all the SEO work that I've done. So I don't think it has to be like either or. You can cancel Psychology Today whenever. And if you're getting referrals from it, then that's great. It's not like it's a hugely expensive service. So I would think about, how are you going to get clients, and are you willing to do some of the back end work with marketing, getting reviews, getting your, info out on Google? Are you going to go to networking events? Are you well connected with other people in your community? Even just having like one doctor's office that refers to you could fill up your entire practice and more. So I would think about, like, what connections do you already have? Play to your strengths. If you love building websites, or you love, you're really tech literate and you think you'd be good at that, then maybe doing SEO work would be worth it. If you know you have no interest in that, then don't do that and just hire someone to do it. So I would think about that. And the fourth thing that I would start doing right away is getting your website underway and starting a blog right off the bat. So Google really, really likes to see that you have a website that didn't just, get all of the content put on it just randomly one day. They want to see that it's an active website that is having content added to it over time. So I think even just starting a website, even if your business isn't launched, if you know the name, buy the domain, and then start blogging and just putting it out there. Even if it's to no one, it's still a great thing to do, and making, content that is relevant to your niche and your client. That's kind of why I'm putting it in this order. So you need to have the name to buy the domain. You need to know the niche to know what kind of content for the blog. So there's a logical progression here. Next thing, this again could be a whole other video, but are you going to accept insurance, or are you going to be fully self-pay? If you're going to accept insurance, it does open a lot of doors for you to get more clients in the door, but a ton of people want to go into private practice because they want to get away from insurance and all the headaches that it brings, and they want to run a self-pay practice. So I would say don't get discouraged with self-pay. So many people run fully self-pay practices and are completely successful. So weighing the pros and cons of that, like, personally for me, I do accept just a couple of insurances, and I have been moving away from that. And when I take a new client, typically I'm only taking on self-pay clients now at like a higher rate, but I have a lot of clients I've had for years that I still honor their insurance, but I am slowly phasing out of that, and that has worked for me. But if I could do it again, honestly, kind of wish, like in a perfect world, we would all probably have full self-pay practices, but that's something to think about. And then last thing, do you want to have a fully remote practice, or are you going to have an office space? Because I think post-COVID, it's way more common to be a remote therapist. I personally only do telehealth, and I love it because since I work with college students, a lot of times they are all over the state of Ohio. I have clients that live in Columbus, Cincinnati, Dayton, where all these major universities are. So it's really, really nice to be able to do telehealth with the clientele that I see. Now, if you're doing something like couples therapy, maybe you would feel like, okay, well, I don't want to meet with couples on telehealth. That sounds like torture. Or maybe you have a population that wouldn't have as good of outcomes with telehealth. It's just something to think about, because the wonderful, wonderful thing about telehealth is like the overhead cost is so incredibly low. I use DoxyMe, which is completely free. I know Simple Practice has a built-in telehealth feature. Probably all those major EHR systems now have a telehealth feature. So it's just something to think about. And of course, you could always do a hybrid model as well. But, when you're renting an office space, it is expensive. And so it's just something to think about. Would you want to be remote? Would that work for your clientele, or would you want to be in person? Now, I don't want to make this video so long, but I hope that you found it helpful. I hope it gives you a launching point of things to think about. I am going to link below Private Practice Skills here on YouTube has a great private practice startup guide on her page that I believe is free to download and is a lot more detailed. It's like 20 something pages of like opening an LLC, registering for an MPI number. Like there are a lot of very tedious little details that you do need to know about. I didn't want to address them here because this video would be like 3 hours long and nobody wants that. But these are the things, even if you're someone who maybe you want to start a private practice in the next couple of years, I would write down these topics and just get journaling about them, get thinking about them. What clients really light you up? What clients do you love working with? If you had a caseload full of your ideal client, what would that look like? That's a great question to ask yourself. So if you found this video helpful, and if you like content for therapists and mental health professionals, please give this video a like and subscribe below, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.